All right, so we're going to dive in. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Alertus Power Lunch. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Alertus Power Lunch, leveraging groups for effective alert recipient targeting. My name is Brooke, and I'm a training specialist here at Alertus. And today we're joined by Sarah, another training specialist here, who will be leading today's webinar. This session will focus on optimizing your alerting strategy. You'll learn how to create and manage groups to effectively target your alert recipients, ensuring the right messages reach the right people. We'll also explore the power of device assignment rules, showing you how to automate group assignments for maximum efficiency and precision. This is an interactive session, so please feel free to ask any questions using the Q&A or chat feature. And please be aware that this is also being recorded for training purposes. All right, without further ado, I'll throw it over to Sarah.
Awesome, sounds good. Thank you, Brooke. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can take a look at my Alertus console here. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as an administrator in this system. And we're going to just look at a bunch of stuff related to groups today. So essentially, groups are one of the primary targeting methods in the Alertus system. So when sending an alert, you can select one or more groups to target as the recipients. So for example, if you come in to this custom activation page, say you want to send out maybe an all clear alert, you can specify the message that you want to send, pull in your delivery methods. Maybe for example, we want this to go out to our desktops. I could pull those in. And then finally, in this choose recipients section, this is where you pick the specific devices or desktops in this scenario that we're sending this to. So this is where you can quickly pull in those groups. For example, I might just want to send this all clear just to building 1. I can select that group here. You can also select multiple groups if needed. Maybe I want to target building 2 as well. And a device will receive alerts for all of the groups in which it is a member, but it will not receive duplicate alerts if it is targeted multiple times through being a part of multiple groups. And there is no limit to the number of groups that a device can be assigned to. With one exception, the alert beacon can only be a member of up to 20 groups. But we're going to take a look at the groups that I have set up on this server. So if you do want to take a quick look at your groups and see what's in them, you can do that from a report called the Group Memberships Report. So this is a helpful report, again, for displaying the alert devices that are assigned to each of your groups. So for example, if I click to expand this building 1 group, I can see all of the devices that are included in here, a couple of desktops, some alert beacons, and a text-to-speech speaker. I can also come to the Contacts tab to see if I've assigned any contacts to that group. And then for anyone still using the Alertus mobile recipient app, we are retiring it, but for now you can also see any mobile users that might have joined the group with that app as well. This report is also helpful because it has some links above that can give you even more information. For example, this top one will allow you to view alert devices that are not assigned to any groups. So if I click in here, I don't have any devices that are not part of a group, but if you did, they would show up here. This can be helpful if you do want to use groups to target your alert recipients. You can check here to see if anything is not in a group when it should be, so you know that you can go in and add it. But now that we've checked all of our groups, I want to show you how you can create new groups. So that is done under the configure system settings that by default are only available to system administrators. But you are able to edit and create new groups under this groups tab here. So again, from this tab, you can see all of the groups that you have created. You can also delete them from here, or you can also edit them to make any changes. So for example, here's that building 1 group that we looked into. And I'm going to create a new group with you just by clicking add group at the top, and we can fill out all of this information together. So I'm going to name this one Skillum building 3. Since I already had building 1 and building 2, I'm creating one for building 3. You can give the group a description if you would like. And then from this devices tab, this is where you can see any devices that are in the group, which I don't have any yet since I haven't added them in. But you can also see on the left-hand side all of your devices that are not in the group yet. So we'll look at a few different ways that you can add devices to the group. But if you do ever just want to manually pull in some devices, you can search for them here to narrow it down. And then you can just select anything that you want to pull in and use the arrows to move them into the group. You can also select them and use the arrows to remove them in the same way. And then from this contacts tab, this is where you would assign a contact for that group if you would like. It's not required to target devices, but it could be helpful if you did say want to designate like a point person for that group. So I'm just going to add myself as a contact with those arrows here. And then finally, from the Advanced tab, if you do have any like Active Directory or LDAP mapping that you want to set up to be able to pull in that information to update your groups, you can set up the Active Directory connection here. I don't have any enabled or configured, but that would be something that you can set up in the middleware settings. So again, you can just pull in the Active Directory information that you have set up to be able to update those group assignments. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Add. So now we can see that Building 3 group on the system. And you can create these groups for any organizational structure that you would like to use. For example, you could create groups for different buildings or locations. You could also create them for different building types, maybe admin buildings versus classroom buildings. And then you can also create groups based on different roles or functions. For example, you could create a test group for testing specific devices, or you could create, say, a security team group if you just want to send specific notifications to the security team. So you do have a lot of flexibility for how you want to set these groups up. But now that we have that group created, I want to show you some different ways that you can more quickly add devices into the group. So one way that you can do that is using the device batch updater, which you can see on this tab here. So if we click in to this device batch updater, this will allow you to modify the configuration of multiple devices at once. You can see all of them here, and you do have a number of device settings that you can update, but we're going to be using the first one here to select the group that we want to put them in. So again, you can search for devices here if you do want to narrow it down to pull in specific ones. But let's say maybe we want to add in this alert beacon, maybe this text-to-speech speaker, and this other alert beacon. I'm just going to select all of them here. And then I'm going to select this groups option. Since I want to update the group, I'm going to select my Building 3 group that we just created. And then you could also select any other settings that you'd want to change. And then I'm just going to come down here and select Update Devices. It will ask me to confirm that I do want to move these target devices into my Building 3 group. I'm going to go ahead and click Confirm. And then if we come back to the Groups tab, and then we come down here to this Building 3 group, we take a look in here. Now we can see from the Devices tab that it does have those 3 devices that we pulled in from the Device Batch Updater. So that is another place that you can move devices into that group. And then also, I did notice, see here for Building 1 and Building 2, I was using this naming convention where I had the building name and then Sarah Training, and I used something different when I created this Building 3 group. And we do typically recommend that you follow standard naming conventions just to keep everything organized. So if you ever notice an issue with a name that you've used, it is, again, very quick to update a group name. If you do click the Edit button, you can just update the name at any time. So I'm just going to update it to be Building 3 Training to fix the naming convention so that it matches everything else. So now I have Building 3 Sarah Training. All right, so now we've added some groups, or we've added some devices into that group with the device batch updater. The next way that you can also add devices into a group is by creating device assignment rules. So you would create those rules from the device assignment rules tab here. And we definitely recommend using device assignment rules if you do have a large system and you have a lot of devices. Since they are really helpful for automating group assignments, you don't want to have to be manually searching for and adding in, say, 200 desktops to a group. So any rules that you can create to automate the process are definitely really helpful. So I'm going to just click Add Device Assignment Rule so that we can add one together. So we're going to do one for building 3. So I'm just going to name this device assignment rule, building 3 device assignment rule. You can give it a description if you'd like. And then for the assignment type, I'm going to stick with groups since we're talking about groups today. But if you do choose to set up locations on your system, you can also follow this process to set up device assignment rules for different locations. But we'll stick with group. Here, I'm going to pick the group to assign. Since we're doing it for building 3, I'm going to pick that building 3 Sarah training group that we created. And then for the search field, these are basically the device attributes that the system will evaluate to see if it matches this rule and should be added to the group. So you can use a number of different attributes here. Your options are using a BSS ID, a check-in variable, an IP address, or the device name. So I'll first pick IP address to show you what that would look like. So if you do select IP address, you do have the option here to put in a regular expression rule, and you can also click this link here if you do want some more help with the regular expression syntax. But for example, you could create a regular expression rule for all IP addresses that begin with a certain number or contain a certain number if you'd like. But for IP addresses, I think it's easier personally to come over here and select IP range. So instead of having to build out a regular expression rule, you can just put in a start and end IP range. So this would be really helpful if you're creating the rule for a specific building. If you know the network structure for that building and you know the range of IP addresses in there, you can just enter that in to use that to update your groups. And that would be really helpful for buildings as well, because these device assignment rules are going to be reevaluated every time the device checks back in to the server. So for example, if you had a laptop computer in building 1 with a certain IP address, when you take it into a new building, whenever the IP address changes, it will reevaluate these rules and assign it to the correct building group. So that is a way that you can create dynamic grouping based on the current location or building that a device is in. But in addition to using IP address, I also wanted to show you how you can use the name as a search field. So this will be looking into the device names that you have. So for example, I'm just going to put in my name here, Gillum, since I know that my computer has my name in the name. But again, you can use that regular expression help if you do want some help building out these expressions to fit the devices that you're trying to target, whether it's anything with admin in the name, anything that starts with a certain number, etc. You can build out a rule for that. And then you do also have the option in this box, if you want to put in a device name, you can check to see if it matches the rule that you've created. So I'm actually going to come back to this device status report. I'm going to open it up in a new tab just so that I can paste in my device name to make sure that it fits the group that or the device assignment rule that I'm creating for that group. So here I can see my device name. I'm just going to copy it. You'll notice it does have Gillum in the name. And then I'm going to come back here and paste it into this text box here. And we can see that it's a match, so it will fit this rule. And notice, just to simplify things, these regular expression rules are not case sensitive. So whether you're using capital or lowercase letters, that doesn't really matter. It just matters that you have the right letters or numbers to fit the name that you're trying to match. But I'm going to go ahead and click Add to add that device assignment rule. And then we can, of course, go back into the building 3 group just to check and see how that was updated. So now if I come to building 3 and I go to devices, now I'll notice that this desktop is grayed out since it's been assigned to that group with the device assignment rule that we just created. So this will let you know if it's been manually added or if it's been added by a device assignment rule. Also, you'll notice I did add another desktop that does have my name in the title, but that one did not yet get updated by the device assignment rule, because if we do check back on the device status report, you can see that that particular desktop is currently offline. So it'll check to see if it fits that rule as soon as it does come back online, and then it would be added based on that rule into the group. But I know that we've looked at a lot about how to add devices into the groups. So I wanted to wrap up by showing you how you can use groups to target your alerts. So we did already look at how you can pull in a group when sending a custom activation, but you can also use those groups as you're building out your preset alerts. So I'm going to, under this configure system section, come down to the preset alerts tab to take a look at the preset alerts that I already have created. So these are alerts that I've made ahead of time so that I can just send them really quickly with a couple of clicks. So if you notice, if we scroll down here, I have a preset alert created for a fire in building 1, targeting the building 1 group. But let's say I also want to create a similar alert for a fire in building 2 or a fire in building 3. Instead of having to build out a new preset alert from scratch every time, if you do have a preset alert already that's similar, it might just be targeting a different group. You can use this icon here to clone the alert or make an exact copy of it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to name this copy Escalum Fire Building 3. You can give it a description if you'd like. This preset type is just the formatting or the style for the icon. So I'm going to stick with this fire look, but you could pick any that you have created on your system. And then for the message text, since this was a copy of the building 1 preset alert, I'm just going to update this message to say that now this fire is for building 3. I'm going to leave my duration and my priority as they are. I want to use all of these same alert services or delivery methods, but I am going to update the group. So instead of targeting building 1, here's where I can just pull in that building 3 group that we created. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Add to add that to the system. So now we have a preset alert for a fire in building 1. And then I'm going to come and find the one we just created, this time for a fire in building 3, targeting that building 3 group. So I'm going to start it just to add it to my quick access menu, and then I will activate it to show you how everything goes off since we did add all of these devices to that group. So I'm going to pick Fire Building 3 from my quick access menu since I started on that previous page. And then to send it, I'm just going to hit Continue. Here's where I can see I'm targeting that building 3 group. I can also see the total number of devices that have been added to that group, as well as how many of them are actually online. And then to send it, I'll just click Send. And now we'll be able to see everything activate. So I added my desktop to that group.
Fire in building 3 on.
I'm just going to acknowledge the desktop alert to close it from the system, but we'll still be able to see everything going off behind me. So I did add the text-to-speech speaker and those 2 alert beacons to that building 3 group so that we can see them being targeted here. I have the volume settings on very quiet or silent just because I'm sitting right in front of them. But of course you can adjust that if needed. But I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that alert to stop everything from going off behind me. But I know that we did just look at a lot of information, so I wanted to save some time for questions. If you do have any, please feel free to put them in the chat or the QA box, as Brooke mentioned at the beginning. But hopefully this was some helpful information to help you as you are setting up those groups on your server.
Awesome, Sarah. Thank you so much. The Q&A box is open, the chat is open, but I'm not seeing any questions come in, which is great because that means Sarah did a great job explaining. This has been recorded, so it will be shared with all attendees and registrants early next week. So hopefully you can revisit this in the future and use it. We'll also stay on the call for a few extra minutes if there are any other questions rolling in. But if not, thank you so much for coming today. And thank you again, Sarah, for leading this webinar.
Of course, thank you.